Hey guys, so today we're going to be looking at async await and we're going to be comparing it to the time function in Python. So we're going to be looking at which is more efficient and look at a few examples. So here we go. Okay, so today we're going to be looking at await async. We're basically going to be looking at that and the difference between time. So why we would basically the differences between await async and the time function. So we're going to be looking at 2 to 3 examples. And here's this one. So this is basically that we have a simple start and end program. And so what it's supposed to do is here it's supposed to first print start, then it's supposed to wait 2 seconds, then print end, and do that for task A and B. So we have 2 tasks and then the task is start and end. And then it's supposed to give 2 seconds before it prints the start and then then. So if we just run this and we'll see what order we're getting the result in. And I'll just stop it. Okay. So here. So then we get start A, start B, and then we saw it waited a bit, then it was end A and end B. So now we look at this and then we can look at if I say import time. And now if we comment out this line and then say time dot sleep and 2 seconds, so the same amount of time. And now if we run it, and you say start A, end A, start B, and then end B. So then we're basically looking at so total it took 4 seconds over here. And now if we just run this one over here again, and then you see, it takes only about 2 seconds. So what await async does is that it allows you to, so when it starts task A, that's a start task A, and then it says that it needs to wait for 2 seconds. Now what this does, it allows it to go to task B and start task B, meanwhile it's task A is ongoing, as in the 2 second wait is part of the task A. So then while that 2 second wait is happening, it'll go ahead and start task B. And then that means that A and B will end with a similar amount of time, making this one more time efficient. While in time.sleep, what it does is that you saw it first just start A, end A, then start B and end B. So it does each of the tasks individually. So then that ends up taking a longer amount of time because first it'll do A completely, then it'll do B. So it's not using that 2 seconds in between. And this becomes even more apparent if we say 4 seconds. So then it says start A, start B, and then end A and end B. And now, if we do it with time again, you can see start A, now it's going to wait, end A, and then start B and end B. So then it ended up taking more amount of time because it's not doing them simultaneously like the await async is. So this was the first example. And the syntax is basically that for both of them you need to import. So here you import async IO, and here you import time. And then this is our first function, which is the task itself. So then the start, sleep for 2 seconds. This is the syntax, and then end. And then here we have async and then the main function, where it's basically gathering task A and B. We just, yeah. If you hover over it, then you can see the whole documentation. But then basically we're gathering task A and B, and then we're running it. So we're calling the main function in here when we're running it. And now if we comment these and go over here. So then this is the second example, which is quite similar. But here it's basically that it's supposed to print start, then sleep for 2 seconds, then say middle, and then end. So if we just run this, start, then the wait, and then middle and end together. So this one's rather simple. It's basically for the syntax that we're just going that we're just doing the start, middle, and end. So then the first thing that prints is start, and then middle and end together. And after that, So again, we use like a function in this one. And then after that, we have the final example. And this one's a bit longer, so if we just run this, this is like quite similar to the start and end thing again. But now instead we have 3 tasks. So it's end A, end B, and end C. So the only difference here is what we want to do is that so when we need to create 3 async tasks, and then task A waits basically 1 second. Task B is supposed to wait 2 seconds, and then task C is supposed to wait 3 seconds. And all of them should start together. So while all of them are starting together, the end will come in the order of like end A, end B, and end C, because they're 1 second apart. So that's exactly what's happening over here. That it'll start all together, and then end A comes first, end B comes after that, and end C comes after that. So because they have they're all starting at the same time, they need to have that 1 second difference. First we're importing async IO, then we're creating like the task. So here we have the name and then the time, both as parameters in like the function, or both as arguments in the function. So then we're printing start the name. So the first task we have is A. So start A, and while it's waiting, like the time is 1 second over here. So while it's waiting, it starts task B. Then the wait is over there is 2 seconds, and then it's going to start task C, and the time wait is 3 seconds. And that's why it ends up printing A first while B and C are ongoing, and B while C is ongoing, and then C is the last one. And then we're basically running main. So the easiest way to do that was to make 2 functions, and then go.